Hamilton receives an $80 million offer from Red Bull. This is probably the first time you're hearing about this news, so I urge you to stay until the end before talking about it with your friends, because every detail matters. Subscribe just to stay tuned for the Formula One news no one else explains to you. What unfolded next wasn't just a quiet conversation. It was a clandestine collision of two colossal egos, a whispered proposition that could collapse dynasties and redraw the blueprint of the sport itself. Christian Horner, known for his cunning, calculated moves and a reputation for playing long games that often leave rivals scrambling for years, wasn't just making an offer, he was planting a nuclear warhead beneath the foundations of Ferrari, detonating the sanctity of the most sacred contract in the paddock. €80 million per season. Not a typo. Not a bluff. A record-shattering, logic-defying, era-destroying sum of money that would instantly make Lewis Hamilton the highest-paid athlete in Formula One history, eclipsing even his own previous earnings. And it wasn't just salary. Sources with deep ties to the Red Bull organization revealed that the offer included an equity stake in Red Bull Racing, a 5-year personal endorsement deal with Red Bull's global brand network, and unprecedented control over car development, simulator integration, and race day strategy. One insider went as far as to call it the Lewis Hamilton division within Red Bull. The offer also allegedly guarantees Hamilton complete veto power over any future teammates starting in 2026, a clause reportedly designed to shield him from any internal threat or Verstappen-like uprising. And speaking of Verstappen, yes, this offer would mean pairing Hamilton and Verstappen under the same roof, with equal machinery, equal resources, and the most combustible team dynamic in the history of sport. Or would it? Some believe Red Bull's long-term plan includes Max leaving after 2025, possibly to Mercedes or even Audi. If that happens, Hamilton wouldn't just be joining Red Bull, he'd be taking over Red Bull. Subscribe just to stay tuned for the Formula One news no one else explains to you. Back in Bahrain, the moment was electric. After Horner laid out the basics, Hamilton reportedly stared at him in silence for several seconds. No smile, no sarcasm, no polite brush-off. Just silence. A storm behind the eyes. The kind of pause that makes you wonder if time just stopped for a moment. He finally replied, quietly but clearly, "Why now?" Horner leaned in, reportedly glanced around to ensure no one was too close, and whispered, "Because your window to destroy him is closing." That him, according to two sources, was unmistakably a reference to Max Verstappen. The psychology behind this is as brutal as it is brilliant. Horner knows Hamilton's legacy is already monumental, but he also knows Hamilton hasn't had the chance to directly dismantle Verstappen's dominance in equal machinery. And Horner is now offering him the chance to do it from the inside, with the very weapons Verstappen used to build his own empire. It's not just a contract. It's a path to vengeance, a sword dipped in gold and sharpened with ambition. And Ferrari? They're panicking. News of the offer has already leaked into the inner sanctum of Maranello, and the fallout has been explosive. Senior executives reportedly called an emergency meeting the morning after the Bahrain Grand Prix to evaluate whether the €60 million deal they gave Hamilton could be increased, or whether additional performance clauses could be offered to keep him satisfied. Team principal Fred Vasseur is said to be furious and blindsided, reportedly shouting in a debrief, "They're trying to steal our crown jewel." Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc, already simmering over Hamilton's higher pay, is said to be utterly enraged by the idea that his teammate might abandon ship after all the tension, build-up, and team restructuring that was meant to revolve around their supposed alliance. According to whispers, a private confrontation happened in the Ferrari motorhome after qualifying, where Leclerc reportedly said to Hamilton, "So you came here just to use us as leverage?" To which Hamilton, allegedly calm and unbothered, replied, "I came here to win. But I'll always do what's necessary." That phrase, "what's necessary," has become something of a mantra in the Mercedes and Ferrari eras of Hamilton's career. It's cold. It's clinical. And it's terrifying. The paddock is now gripped in full-scale chaos. Red Bull insiders are refusing to deny the rumors, with Helmut Marko offering one of his classic cryptic quotes, "We're always looking to strengthen the team, and Lewis is a strong option." Toto Wolff, when cornered by Sky Sports reporters, merely smirked and said, "Wouldn't that be something?" Meanwhile, Mercedes fans are in turmoil, Ferrari loyalists are clutching rosaries, and Red Bull fans are either drooling at the prospect of the ultimate power duo, or terrified that Horner is trying to replace Verstappen with the one-man Max despises the most. And then there's Verstappen himself. Multiple reporters observed him storming out of a sponsor engagement after learning of the rumored offer, visibly agitated, and brushing past cameras without his usual post-session quips. Sources close to him say he feels betrayed, that he never imagined Red Bull would entertain bringing in the one driver who publicly challenged the legitimacy of his first title. The idea of sharing a garage with Hamilton, even for one season, may be an absolute non-starter for Max, who's believed to be quietly exploring escape clauses in his long-term contract should certain conditions change. Meanwhile, fans are tearing the internet apart. Memes are being launched like missiles. Twitter threads are measuring legacy hypotheticals in real time. Reddit is writing alternative history novels. TikTok is filled with dramatic reenactments of what Hamilton and Horner's handshake might have looked like. Instagram is drowning in photos of Lewis with Red Bull colors photoshopped over his Ferrari suit. And the speculation keeps intensifying. One UK tabloid reported that Hamilton has already visited the Red Bull HQ in Milton Keynes under extreme secrecy, arriving in an unmarked black Mercedes-Benz S-Class with tinted windows and leaving just under an hour later. Another Italian outlet claimed that Hamilton's personal trainer was seen dining in London with Red Bull's head of human performance. And perhaps most shocking, an unconfirmed though persistent rumor that Hamilton has been offered a post-retirement ambassadorial role with Red Bull Global, involving brand ambassadorships, extreme sports partnerships, and even a hand in designing future Red Bull hypercars. Subscribe just to stay tuned for the Formula One news no one else explains to you. In every corner of the F1 world, from Paddock insiders to superfans in their living rooms, the question now being screamed into the void is simple but seismic. Will he do it? Will Lewis Hamilton betray Ferrari and ignite the most dramatic team switch the sport has ever seen? The money is record-breaking. The revenge would be biblical. The headlines would last for decades. And the silence from Hamilton's camp? Absolutely deafening. The Formula One universe is still reeling from the aftershocks of what may be the boldest, most reality-bending contract extension in the modern era of motorsport. Lewis Hamilton, the seven-time world champion, the cultural juggernaut, the man whose name is synonymous with dominance, has signed an unprecedented extension with Scuderia Ferrari that ties him to the team until the end of 2029. But this isn't just another multi-year deal with bells and whistles. This is a tectonic collision of legacy, ambition, and raw power, and it's already ignited tensions so intense they're reportedly shaking the very foundations of the Ferrari garage. The deal is astronomical in every conceivable way. Multiple well-placed sources inside Maranello have confirmed that Hamilton will be earning a staggering €60 million per season, making him the highest-paid driver on the grid. And yes, that means he will be pulling in more than Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's prodigy, poster boy, and the driver many considered the future face of the team. Until now. This financial hierarchy shift hasn't gone unnoticed, and it hasn't gone down smoothly behind the scenes. Insiders have described the mood within Ferrari's inner circle as frosty with flashes of fire. And what's emerged is a simmering rivalry that no one saw coming so early in this partnership. While the public has only seen smiles, fist bumps, and vague social media captions, sources close to the team have leaked that tensions between Hamilton and Leclerc are very real and growing. According to one team source, the tipping point came during a private post-qualifying meeting in Bahrain, where Leclerc, visibly frustrated, confronted Hamilton over the pay disparity in front of senior personnel. The exchange, captured by internal mics but not broadcast, was reportedly tense, sharp, and laced with passive aggression. "You've got more experience, sure," Leclerc allegedly said, folding his arms, "but I've been carrying this team since 2019. Now suddenly, I'm second driver in my own house." To which Hamilton, calm but cutting, is said to have replied, "You've been carrying potential. I'm here to carry championships. And if that comes with a bigger paycheck, maybe it's just what winning costs." That statement, sources say, hung in the air like smoke, and left the room so silent you could hear the wind outside the paddock. Team principal Fred Vasseur reportedly had to mediate a closed-door sit-down later that evening to prevent further escalation. Even the PR team was pulled in to plan how to spin the story, because the clash wasn't just over money. It was about status, about identity, about legacy. Leclerc, still just 27, has long been seen as Ferrari's crown jewel, a driver bred within their system, marketed as their golden boy, and groomed to restore the team's former glory. He's fought through strategic blunders, reliability nightmares, and near misses, always with a sense of loyalty that bordered on obsession. So when Hamilton walked in, a global icon knighted, a seven-time world champion, and was not only given equal equipment, but also a contract that dwarfs his, something shifted. And fans noticed. On social media, the debate has exploded into civil war. One side supports Hamilton, citing his resume, his global influence, and the fact that he's already delivered more podiums in 5 races than Ferrari scored in months last year. The other side backs Leclerc, arguing that the Monégasque has been loyal, humble, and brutally fast, and that he deserves the keys to Ferrari's future, not to be relegated to the role of apprentice to a legend. The numbers don't lie though. Since Hamilton's arrival, Ferrari's development curve has taken off like a rocket. Aerodynamic upgrades are coming faster than ever before. Engine refinement is at an all-time high. The synergy between Hamilton's feedback and the engineering response has shaved off tenths per lap. Even simulators have been recalibrated around his driving style. And sponsorship deals? Ferrari's commercial revenue has ballooned. Global viewership is up. VIP interest is off the charts. And the merchandise? Nearly every Hamilton-branded Ferrari item has sold out in less than 24 hours after each release. Still, Leclerc isn't taking it lying down. In Baku, after narrowly missing pole, he was heard muttering in the cool-down room, "Let's see how much they pay him when I beat him over 58 laps." It was a subtle jab, but the message was clear: he's not here to play second fiddle. And in Spain, he reportedly insisted on running an alternate strategy to Hamilton during Friday practice, despite the team's unified setup plan, a move insiders described as calculated rebellion. Privately, members of Ferrari's technical team are said to be walking on eggshells, unsure how to navigate a situation where 2 alpha drivers are now demanding top priority, one with legacy, the other with loyalty. There are rumors that Ferrari may even restructure race operations to avoid friction, giving each driver their own dedicated sub-teams within the garage, effectively turning one team into 2 under the same roof. And then there's the sponsorship clause, another sticking point that's fueling resentment. Hamilton's contract reportedly includes a clause allowing him to bring in personal sponsors that bypass team-wide endorsements, a privilege that has already ruffled feathers. Leclerc's camp has allegedly pushed back, demanding equal promotional rights, and negotiations are now ongoing to rebalance branding privileges, according to Ferrari's commercial director. It's no longer just about what happens on the track. The battle between Hamilton and Leclerc is unfolding across every layer of Ferrari's empire, in media rooms, strategy calls, photo shoots, contract meetings, and even through body language in post-race debriefs. This rivalry, raw, real, and now irreversibly ignited, could either fuel a golden age for Ferrari or plunge it into internal chaos. The Paddock watches in silence. The fans are split down the middle. And the media is sharpening its knives. Because one thing is certain, the Scuderia isn't big enough for 2 kings. And as the calendar barrels toward the European leg of the season, the only question left is this: who blinks first? What's clear is this: if Hamilton accepts the offer, the sport as we know it will mutate. The entire F1 grid will be forced to reckon with a seismic shift in the driver hierarchy, power dynamics, and technological rivalry. Ferrari will face a fan rebellion. Mercedes will be stunned into silence. McLaren and Aston Martin may need to rethink their entire development approach. And Red Bull? They won't just win. They'll redefine dominance, not just with machinery, but with myth. Because a Red Bull car carrying both Verstappen and Hamilton wouldn't just break records. It would obliterate the line between reality and fantasy. If Hamilton says yes, the sport will never recover, and it may never want to. Hamilton, characteristically composed yet unmistakably intense, didn't storm into the room with fire. He brought it with him, controlled, focused, and smoldering just beneath the surface. He didn't waste a single breath. Every word, every question, every pause was calculated with surgical precision. This wasn't a man fishing for leverage. This was a titan considering the most seismic shift of his career, and possibly of the entire modern Formula One era. When he sat across from Christian Horner, Helmut Marko, and the invisible shadow of Verstappen's influence looming over the meeting, it wasn't about courtesies or hypotheticals. Hamilton had one objective: truth. Real, brutal, uncompromising truth. He didn't sugarcoat his concerns. He drilled directly into the heart of Red Bull's structure, demanding absolute clarity. How much sway does Verstappen really have? Who makes the final call on upgrades? Will the wind tunnel sessions favor Milton Keynes' existing golden child, or will they genuinely split resources 50-50? Who decides tire allocation on race weekends if there's a last-minute call? How often are simulator sessions prioritized based on championship standings rather than data? These weren't casual inquiries, they were pressure points. And Hamilton pushed on each of them with relentless precision. And then came the line that now echoes through every corridor of the paddock like a prophecy. I don't want to be second to anyone. If I come to win. Not to play games. The weight of those words flattened the room. Not because they were loud, but because they were irrefutable. Hamilton wasn't offering a maybe. He was offering a fork in the timeline of the sport. Horner, to his credit, didn't flinch. He assured Lewis that the future would be different, that Red Bull was evolving beyond the cult of Verstappen. That the car, the team, the development structure, everything, would be built around balance, legacy, and dual dominance. That Red Bull would no longer be a one-driver empire, but a two-headed dragon set to annihilate the rest of the grid. But the implications of such a potential move go far beyond just the garage dynamics or telemetry overlays. This wasn't a driver change. This was a cosmic rupture in the balance of Formula One. The kind of event that stops time, that breaks the algorithm, that turns every single interview, strategy meeting, and tire compound selection into a question about one thing. What happens if Lewis Hamilton joins Red Bull Racing? The moment the rumors leaked, whispers at first, murmurs among sponsors, anonymous sources dropping breadcrumbs into late-night press calls, the sport convulsed. Media houses scrambled. Commentators re-recorded pre-race shows. Team principals lost sleep. Social media didn't explode, it detonated. Within hours, every fan forum had turned into a full-blown think tank. Theories flew. Conspiracies multiplied. Photoshop artists started churning out Hamilton Red Bull liveries, so detailed they fooled casual fans into thinking it had already happened. Sky Sports ran emergency panels. ESPN dropped a mid-season special. Even retired drivers like Button, Rosberg, and Webber were pulled out of their golf games to give immediate hot takes. Some called it genius. Others called it betrayal. Many simply stared into the camera and said, if this happens, everything changes. And it wasn't just talk. The sport itself began to warp in real time. Ticket sales for the next 5 races surged overnight, despite no announcement. Stock prices for Red Bull's parent company flickered with volatility as speculation spread to investors. Ferrari's board reportedly held an unscheduled 3 a.m. crisis call, trying to assess how a champion could even consider walking away from Maranello mid-project. Internally, Mercedes engineers began to discuss what it would mean to face not just Red Bull, but Red Bull plus Hamilton. And through it all, the man himself said almost nothing. Almost. In the Bahrain paddock, under the artificial lights, Hamilton's posture was different. Looser, but sharper. A kind of coiled calm, like someone waiting for the starting gun in a race no one else knew had already begun. His eyes gave away little, but his tone was different. Press conference answers that were once routine and predictable became riddled with ambiguity. Cryptic, like chess moves. When asked point-blank about the Red Bull rumors, he didn't deflect. He didn't smirk or offer canned denials. He looked the reporter dead in the eye and said, I've always said I want to win. And I'll go wherever I have the best chance of doing that. No denial. No backpedaling. Just a sentence designed to detonate. And it did. Within minutes, that line was clipped, captioned, subtitled, and sent flying across every platform on Earth. TikTok montages. Reaction videos. Reddit megathreads. YouTube streams breaking down every syllable, every blink, every micro-expression. Some fans claimed they saw tears in his eyes. Others claimed to have decoded Morse code in the way he tapped his fingers during the interview. Hamilton wasn't just trending, he was reframing the narrative of the entire season before it even reached round 4. And still, the silence from both camps continued. Red Bull neither confirmed nor denied contact. Ferrari issued a vague statement about full confidence in our 2025 project. Mercedes, ironically quietest of all, refused to comment on a driver they no longer officially employed. Everyone was talking, and no one was talking. And that silence was louder than any engine. Because the reality is this, if Lewis Hamilton moves to Red Bull, it doesn't just change the championship standings. It reshapes the gravitational field of Formula One. Every decision becomes political. Every podium becomes personal. Verstappen and Hamilton sharing a garage? It's not just explosive, it's nuclear. It's Ayrton and Elan with hybrid power units. It's the gods of two dynasties forced into a shared empire, one that might crumble from the sheer pressure of its own ambition. But maybe that's exactly what Hamilton wants. Not peace. Not comfort. Not even legacy. But impact. He's already rewritten the record books. He's already bent history to his will. Now, he wants to do something unthinkable. To invade the house of his greatest rival, to dominate from the inside, and to prove once and for all that no machinery, no politics, no teammate, no empire is greater than his will to win. And if he does it, if he really makes that leap, the sport will never be the same again. It will burn brighter, louder, and more dangerously than ever before. Back in Maranello, the air has turned heavy, not with the scent of machinery or burning rubber, but with pure, unfiltered anxiety. Panic has not only crept into the halls of Ferrari headquarters, it has stormed through the corridors like a hurricane. Red alerts have been triggered, encrypted calls made in the middle of the night, and meetings that were never meant to happen are taking place in hastily secured rooms lined with soundproof walls and shredded NDA documents. The situation has escalated beyond a breach of trust. This is now a full-scale crisis. Red Bull's audacity to approach Lewis Hamilton mid-contract wasn't just a power move. It was a declaration of war. Frederick Vasseur, the man who moved mountains and rewrote decades of political gridlock to lure Hamilton to Ferrari, is said to be incandescent with rage. Insiders claim that Vasseur hasn't left the executive level of the Maranello compound for 3 days. His office lights have remained on around the clock. Security footage reportedly shows him pacing relentlessly, alternating between screaming into 2 separate phones and staring silently at Hamilton's contract displayed on a reinforced OLED panel that now glows like a warning beacon. This isn't just about a rival team's offer. This is about betrayal. About identity. About the terrifying possibility that history, after all the planning, might be rewritten in someone else's colors. The executive board is in meltdown mode. Emergency meetings have pulled in stakeholders from not only the racing division but also from Ferrari's road car, marketing, and even legal departments. According to sources close to the situation, a counterproposal has been drafted, no weaponized, with staggering additions designed to not just retain Hamilton, but fuse him permanently into the very DNA of the Ferrari brand. Key among the new offers is an immediate salary bump that would eclipse even Red Bull's rumored €110 million per season figure, making Hamilton not just the highest-paid driver in F1 history, but one of the highest-paid athletes in any sport, across any discipline, in any era. But the money is only the surface. The real incentives go deeper, into territory never explored by any team before. Ferrari has proposed elevating Hamilton to a lifetime development architect role, granting him veto power over the engineering roadmap for the next 6 years, including but not limited to hybrid architecture, brake-by-wire algorithms, and adaptive suspension configurations designed for autonomous co-piloting trials set to launch in 2030. He would essentially become the architect of Ferrari's racing identity in a post-combustion world. No driver, not Schumacher, not Lauda, not Prost, has ever been offered anything even remotely similar. In what some have called a desperate yet revolutionary gambit, another clause under consideration would allow Hamilton complete conceptual control over the 2027 car, from aerodynamic profile to cockpit layout to chassis balance philosophies, even down to the material choices for carbon composites. This is creative control Ferrari has never granted to anyone, not even its own in-house legends. The car, unofficially referred to as LHX, would be co-designed by Hamilton and a private skunkworks team assembled specifically around his preferences, working under absolute secrecy in a new underground wing of the Maranello compound, construction of which has allegedly already begun under the codename Project Aurelius. But none of this might be enough. Because Red Bull hasn't just made an offer, they've detonated a time bomb in the heart of Formula One's competitive balance. Word from the paddock is that their proposal isn't simply about 2026 or 2027, it's about full-scale dynastic domination. Sources say Helmut Marko and Christian Horner personally offered Hamilton a dual leadership position, racing alongside Verstappen for a final era-defining run, before transitioning into a senior executive role within the new Red Bull powertrains division, with stock options and a rumored €200 million equity package over 8 years. In Red Bull's vision, Hamilton would co-develop their next-gen hydrogen-electric engine systems, lead a new sustainability-focused motorsport think tank, and even help design a future concept hypercar aimed at dethroning the LaFerrari and AMG 1 on both track and street. It's not just a job. It's an empire, and Hamilton wouldn't be joining it. He'd be building it. What's even more staggering? The deal includes co-ownership of a brand new racing academy, spread across 3 continents, featuring a mobile testing unit that can be deployed anywhere in the world with climate-controlled simulators, 6 DOF motion rigs, AI coaching overlays, and direct satellite uplinks to Red Bull's headquarters in Milton Keynes. Hamilton's face would be on the banner. His curriculum. His legacy. Forever. And it all comes down to one meeting. One conversation. One moment in Bahrain that lasted less than 25 minutes, yet now threatens to undo everything Ferrari has spent 2 years constructing. Insiders claim Hamilton didn't speak much during that conversation. He listened. Measured. Calculated. But the fact that he didn't walk away immediately is what sent shivers through the entire grid. Every team has paused. Every strategist is recalculating. Every engineer is bracing. Because if Hamilton chooses Red Bull, the sport will shift overnight. The competitive balance will be obliterated. Sponsors will pivot. Future driver negotiations will collapse. And Verstappen, already a generational force, would suddenly be flanked by the only living driver capable of matching, and possibly surpassing, his legacy in real time. They wouldn't just dominate. They'd rewrite how domination is measured. But on the other hand, if Hamilton stays, if he chooses loyalty to Ferrari, to the red suit and the burning pressure of rebuilding the Scuderia from within, he becomes more than a champion. He becomes a myth. A symbol of commitment in a sport where betrayal is currency. He would not just race for Ferrari. He would become Ferrari. Not as an employee. As a legend. Carved into the walls of Maranello, immortal. And now, the entire sport waits. Nobody's breathing. Every driver is watching. Every fan is glued to the unfolding drama with a feverish obsession. Formula One is no longer just about who's fastest. It's about who owns the future. And Lewis Hamilton is holding the pen that will write it.